Today's episode of The Sit Down with Scott Dion Brown is brought to you by Jennifer C. at HomeLifeCultureLink.com, Nino Simeka at MortgageGodfather.ca, and Jewelry Forever at JewelryForever.ca. Enjoy the show.
Broadcasting live from Glenmore Record Studios in Toronto, this is The Sit Down with Scott Dion Brown, your Sunday morning talk show with interesting guests, live musical performances, and the most fun you can fit in your coffee cup. Hosted by Scott Dion Brown and Regine Alaina, this is The Sit Down with Scott Dion Brown.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Hello there, do you are have stupid? Hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. How are you? Good afternoon. It feels weird to say good afternoon, but slightly later start here today. But good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 129 of The Sit Down with Scott Dion Brown. Scott, you look different. Yeah, I'm not wearing my it's Sundays is the one day I do not wear my sunglasses. So that's why I look different. Do you are stupid? That's why I look different. But I am your host, Scott Dion Brown, and I'm joined by the greatest co-host, ladies and gentlemen, in the entire galaxy. The one, the only,
Regine Alaina. Happy Sunday, everyone. Good afternoon, Scott.
Good afternoon, Regine. How are you? How was your week?
It was good. It was my birthday week / birthday weekend, hence the Disney ears. I got it as the birthday gift, and I thought, you know what? Let's just throw them on and be festive. Continuation of last week.
Yeah. Birthday week. Happy birthday again, Regine.
Thank you. I'm officially in my 30s. This is wild. I think that was the first time I said it out loud, but thank you.
Well, how does it feel? Do you feel different?
No. I mean, I have a Disney headband on. I don't feel any different.
Yeah, I think it's all just it's you. What do they say? You're as young as you feel. Is that what they say?
I don't know. Is that what you say?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's what I say.
There you go.
So, you know what I watched last night? Have you heard about the new... Okay, first off, were you ever a fan of the Mortal Kombat movie?
No.
Have you seen it?
No.
Well,
so when you told me you watched it, I was like, okay, that's cool.
Well, so I watched the new one last night, and it's pretty good.
I didn't even realize that Mortal Kombat was a movie, because I know of it as the video game, not the movie.
Well, so that's the thing. So it is a video game, but then the movie was made to like maximize
the franchise
profits from the game, right? So, do you have stupid? So no, it's not the glasses. It's just you look different. You know what it is? My hair looks different. I even noticed now.
I know what it is. It's because Scott's not wearing his regular sit-down T-shirt with a cardigan over it.
That's true. No, but actually, you know what I noticed? Well, like I usually don't wear a hat on. Well, like me and Regine were just talking right before the show. I don't usually wear a hat for the show, but I don't know. My hair was just sitting weird this morning. I don't know if it's just how it dried or it just felt weird. I'm like, my hair looks dumb right now. I'm just gonna put a hat on. So I threw a hat on. So it's probably just sitting up. Scott, button up your shirt. Oh, sorry, Duar, how stupid.
Maybe that's it. Have a little decency, Scott.
These buttons don't even do up. These are like basically decorative. I mean, there are holes. What would that look like?
Don't do it.
I don't even think the buttons fit in the holes.
It's
part of the design.
Exactly.
It's part of the design.
The aesthetic. Leave it alone. But Scott, how was your week?
Well, how was my week? Pretty busy. The editing is continuing on the movie. It's coming along.
Oh, 2 months later.
Still working
here
on
we
it.
go.
Yeah, but
Scott,
it's
it's
in fact,
May. Come on,
I know.
hurry up.
but I do feel like we're getting close. Like I've got it down to, well, because you know how I've been updating every now and again. It's like the movie's basically getting shorter and shorter. Like every edit, I'm finding parts to remove.
How many minutes is
And
it now?
sorry,
How many minutes is it now?
now we're sitting at 16 minutes, and
Okay.
I think I watched a cut of it yesterday, and now I'm at the point where like I don't even know if it necessarily needs to be shorter. I might alter the order of a few scenes,
Mhm.
but otherwise it's basically there.
Nice.
So what I would love, I think, is if I can get it down to a 15-minute runtime. That would be nice. And if
You
I really push,
realize-
I might be able to.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You realize if you put in different commercial breaks, you'll have a 30-minute episode on TV.
That's true. Yeah, that's right. That's true. That's pretty much how long shows are. Yeah. So we'll see. But I'm finally like starting to be happy with it. So that's
Yay, progress.
yeah. You know, it's so frustrating because it's like once people can see the movie, they'll understand it a little bit more. But it's just like as I'm working on it, there are parts where I'm watching it, and it's like I'll finish watching and I'll be like, "There's a good movie in here somewhere." It's like I just have to find it. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm like making a sculpture, or like I'm digging for dinosaur bones. You know, and you just know somewhere in here there's this beautiful T-Rex.
Yeah, there's more.
But I just gotta, yeah, I just gotta get rid of all the extra stuff. But it's so hard to tell sometimes, like what part. That's really how I look at it now. I feel like I'm sculpting.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Never saw it that
but
way.
yeah. What's like it is? It's like it's honestly it's like you know when they say when you're like had to write an essay for school, and that saying is like if you had given me more time, I would have written a shorter essay.
Really?
like that.
though?
Basically, what it is. Yeah, because you get to edit more and you get to be more concise with your thoughts. Oh, hey, my dad's here. Good afternoon, kids. Hope you had a great birthday, Regine. Have a
Thank
great
you.
show.
Hello.
There you go. Hey, up. But oh yeah, so Mortal Kombat. So the first movie came out in the 90s,
Okay.
and it was made to capitalize on the popularity of the game. But people say it's actually, if you watch it now, it's not like a good movie, but it's a fun movie. It's like it's fun, right? And some people say that it's, in terms of video game movies, it might be the best one ever made, because it's like one of the only video game movies that's pretty true to what the game is about.
Okay, wait, have you seen Sonic?
Yeah, I mean, Sonic has
So,
remember, this was like 90.
okay, but if
95,
you
so-
were like to compare Sonic, which is a video game movie which is recently made, and the one you just watched on Mortal Kombat, where do they fall in the level?
I would say I think Sonic is a better movie. But you know what I'll say about it though, like how I was just saying how there were movies that like they don't stick to what the story of the actual game is. Like Sonic movie, it does what a lot of these movies will do, where they'll spend like 5 minutes in like Sonic's video game world, and then the rest of the movie, you know, he transports to the human world. You know what I mean? And so it's like you take this video game character out of his domain, and then the whole movie is him existing with humans, which happens in movies a lot. But so it's not really like it doesn't look much like you're watching the game of the movie, or a movie of the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas Mortal Kombat, the movie, the plot is, generally speaking, it follows what the game itself is actually about. So I think that's why people say it's like the most accurate to the game. Anyway, it's the first one wasn't a bad movie. It wasn't a good movie, but I think a lot of people look back on it like with fond memories. Have you do you know the theme song? You know the da 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 Mortal Kombat. Dun, 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 dun. Anyways, popular theme song.
You're asking me about video game theme songs?
Yeah, true. Well, anyway, what I'll say is, so I wasn't necessarily even going to watch this one, because right now it's I don't know if it might be in theaters in the US, but obviously all the theaters in Canada are closed, right? But so you can actually rent it online, but it's $24.99 to rent it. And I wasn't going to, but then my girlfriend's sister watched it, and she was like saying it's so good, and like my girlfriend and I both were like, in fact, my girlfriend is a bigger fan of Mortal Kombat. She was a bigger fan of Mortal Kombat than I was when we were kids, but so we were both on the train of wanting to watch the movie. So we finally like, okay, fine, let's watch it. So we spent the $24.99 and watched it last night, and it's fun. It's fun, Regine.
Because when you're talking about like video games and movies, like the first movie that came to my head as you're saying all this was Wreck-It Ralph. Because it's literally a video of a video game.
Yeah. Well, because Wreck-It Ralph does that well because it does a lot of throwbacks to like a whole bunch of different classic games, right?
Mm-hmm. That's why when you're like, oh yeah, a video about a video game, I'm like, oh, like Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah.
But definitely not like Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah, I mean, Wreck-It Ralph is more like in the vein of like, did you see Ready Player One?
No.
It's like that as well, so Ready Player One, it's a sci-fi movie where basically in the future, people hardly spend any time in the real world. They just all live in this virtual world. And in that virtual world, like, it's basically like I don't know, how do you describe it? Like you're basically just your virtual self, but then you can get upgrades and stuff, and they have all these references to classic games and stuff. So people can they'll buy like the car from Back to the Future, or there's one guy who rides around on the Iron Giant from the movie Iron Giant, you know? So the whole movie is just references to old movies, but it's like that. Wreck-It Ralph is the same. So anyway, so very simple review of the new Mortal Kombat movie is it's worth watching. The only weird part for me is I think there's a whole bunch of stuff that if you're not a fan of the games or you haven't watched the games, you might be a little confused as to why some things happen. Like, are you familiar with the format or like what Mortal Kombat the game is like?
I've played it, but I'm one of those people that has a controller in her hand and just presses a bunch of random buttons hoping she does something. That's me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but it's basically just like it's basically a straightforward, just a fighting game, right? But it's particularly known for being violent, right? And so in the game they have like fatalities. So like once you win and the person is like dazed, you can like enter a certain number of buttons, and he'll do like a particularly violent killing of the opponent you just won. So in the movie they have certain moves that like during the fight scenes the person will do, and it could be like a really violent looking scene, but if you know the game, it's like, oh, they're doing the fatality. But I do wonder if you don't know those references, you might just think it was just a cool fighting
nice
movie.
Action movie.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was thinking about it as I was watching it, because I'm like, okay, so I recognize that that's a reference to something that happens in the game. But if I haven't seen it, if I haven't seen the game, maybe I would just be like, oh, that's kind of just like a neat fighting game. So I will say this, the new one, it's the best Mortal Kombat movie, for sure.
Well, how many are there? Just the two?
No, in fact, so actually, here's what's funny. So they made the first one in 95, and then obviously the new one is now, it's like a remake, so it's like part one again. But 2 years after they made the first one, they made a second one called Mortal Kombat Annihilation, which I have never seen. I had never seen it. In fact, I don't even think I really knew much about it. I never saw it.
Yeah.
But last night, again, I was talking with my girlfriend about it because she was telling me about, oh yeah, like I thought it was going to be like the second, Annihilation or something. I was like, I haven't seen that. So I actually ended up, right after watching the new Mortal Kombat, we watched Mortal Kombat Annihilation last night.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Ever.
Oh no.
Yeah. However, I recommend people watch it.
Although
because
okay.
it's one for me it falls into the category of like it's so bad that it's good. Like I actually found myself like laughing at how terrible it has. Some of the worst visual effects I've ever seen, terrible acting, terrible. Oh man, the computer animation, there's a couple scenes that it's the worst I've ever seen. Remember, this is 1997 that came out.
Yeah, but 1997, you still had like amazing Disney movies.
Yes. Well, that's the thing. And like, remember, like the first Jurassic Park movie came out in the 90s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Terminator 2. So like they had the capabilities.
They just
to
didn't
make
put the
nice-
effort into it.
Yeah, for whatever
Oh,
it is. I don't know if
no.
it's effort. I don't know if it's money. But there are some scenes that are so bad. But it's the kind of movie. I actually messaged a couple of my friends after, like my bandmates that I haven't seen since before the pandemic. And I was just like, have you guys seen Annihilation? And they're like, no. I was like, we're going to sit down and we're going to watch this movie whenever we can all meet up.
Oh my gosh.
Because
this is your
it's that good.
post-COVID party. You're gonna watch a terrible
Yeah.
movie.
It's going to be a viewing party of Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
It's not even your viewing party for your movie.
Yeah, exactly. No. We're watching Annihilation. Actually, that's a good idea. We'll watch my movie because it's only a short.
Oh, you know what
And
you
we'll watch
do? You
Annihilation.
watch your movie and then you watch the movie and it'll make your movie look so amazing.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't,
We're on to
if you,
something.
yeah, I'll show them that first just so that they get just to bring it down, and then yeah, exactly. But in fact, you know what's funny from Mortal Kombat Annihilation, randomly, on YouTube you'll get like random recommendations, just like there's one video that I watched that was like the worst line in cinematic history, and I watched it like a long time ago. It's like the scene where the two lines are the woman goes, "Mother, you're alive," and then the mother goes, "Too bad you will die." And that's just the whole video, and they're saying it's the worst line because it's so cheesy. That was from Mortal Kombat Annihilation. So now I'm like seeing that, and I'm like, oh,
Gears are
I get it.
turning.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, so same thing. So I rented the new Mortal Kombat for $24.99, and I get to basically have it for 48 hours. But when we went to watch Annihilation, I was wanting to see if what's not on Netflix or anything. So they had the option to rent it for $4.99
Oh.
or buy it for $7.99.
Did you buy it?
I did. I
Oh
bought
my
it.
god. Wait.
Well, because I was sitting there.
Go
Well, no,
ahead,
because
go
I was like, should I buy it or rent it? And she's like, my girlfriend was like, oh, just rent it. I'm like, well, I mean, $5 I can rent it, $8 I can own it. And she was like, we're not going to watch this again. But now that I've watched it, I'm glad I bought it. Because I will definitely
you
watch
now
it
have
again.
a plan for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my
We'll if you ever get a chance to watch it, or maybe if we're ever hanging out again. in the
You're gonna
future
make
when
me watch it and then watch your video.
we'll have a nice viewing party of Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
I think that's what you should do every time that you have somebody watch your short film. Show them that movie as
Yeah.
well.
Come on
Do
over.
well.
We're gonna have an episode. It's a dual screening. Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I actually think it's a movie that everybody should see.
Oh my god.
It's
It's that bad that people
yes.
Okay.
Yes. And the more funny part as well is if you watch part 1, right? So this part Mortal Kombat Annihilation starts immediately after part 1, but they were like literally from the same scene. It's like the end of part 1 ends, and then they kicked off right from there. But the funny thing is, they couldn't get back, like, they only got back 2 of the actors from the first movie.
Oh no.
Yeah. So when you watch it, it's like you're in the same scene, but all of the actors are different except for 2. So they just recast everybody, which
That
it's kind of funny
sucks.
because, yeah. But it almost adds to it. It adds to how bad it is that they couldn't even get
That's
everybody
the
back.
humor. Oh no.
Yeah.
I hate when they do
Yeah,
that.
no-
Like I hate when you watch sequels and like for instance, I'm watching The Crown right now. I don't know if you've seen it. But they had like the first set of cast for seasons 1 and 2, and then they changed the cast for season 3, and I'm like, I don't like this cast.
They changed the whole cast, or just like some
Yeah,
of the
because
cast?
it's like different years and different parts of the queen's realm. So then you have like her beginning stages, and then fast forward a few years later, many years later. So rather than getting better makeup artists to make the current actors look older, they just got older actors, and I can't get around it.
Oh.
I
So
can't-
they're playing the same characters, but they're playing older versions of themselves, and so
And I
that
just feel like
and they
someone-
got
Sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead. It's
no, I was
just-
saying, and they got new actors. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but I feel like if you are gonna cast them to be older versions of the younger cast, maybe cast like older characters that have similarities to the younger cast, so that it doesn't throw people off like it threw me off.
Yeah. Well, like how much older are they supposed to be? Like, what's the year jump?
I don't pay attention to the years, but
Well, because usually in movies, right, the only time they recast is usually if it's like, so you have your main actor, and then usually they're showing them as like a child. So they have a child, and then usually they only recast a new actor if like the person jumps like really old.
yeah.
But
It's just something about like Queen Elizabeth's character when she was younger, and then you get the older version of her, but the older version of her looks more like Princess Margaret's character when she was younger. And I was like, maybe they should have given her the Princess Margaret role, but that's just me. Who am I to tell a person what to do? But it's funny because I used to watch a lot of sitcoms, and I watched Last Man Standing. And for the first couple of seasons, they had one girl playing a specific character, and they brought on a new girl out of nowhere. And I'm like, I don't like her either. I think I get emotionally attached to the character.
well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, even what you're describing, right? When you basically you're choosing to recast all of the actors, that's dangerous because people do become attached. Like, the reason that movie stars exist, right? The reason that we like movie stars is because we like particular actors in roles, right? So that's why, like, especially if a particular actor plays a particularly iconic role, they kind of become thought of like as that character forever. It's like Tony Stark is like Robert Downey Jr. has now kind of become Tony Stark, and they'll be I think it would be dumb in the very near future to like try to recast that part or like reboot it, right? Because he's just put such an imprint on that part.
Yeah, it's like with what's it called? Black Panther. Now that Chadwick is no longer with us, I was like, I wonder if they're gonna bring him back in a different way, like the character back, but with a different person, or just don't show him anymore.
Yeah, I've heard rumors of two things. One, I heard at first that they were going to pass the Black Panther powers to his sister.
I heard that too, yeah.
But then something I heard more recently was that they were going to recast the part in a new actor.
I don't know how I feel about that. It's kind of like Paul Walker with Fast and the Furious, right? He passed away, and then they brought his brother on to be like his fill-in. I'm like, I know that's not him.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends how they do it. I guess it's like, I feel like when somebody dies, there's a bit more understanding, right?
Yeah.
That, okay, they don't have a choice. For me, the part that really annoys me is like when you watch, like what you're describing, when you watch a TV show and then suddenly a character changes.
You're like, why?
And then you
Everyone
find
else
out that
is
like,
there except for her.
Yeah. And then you find out that like, oh, the reason that they changed the character was because contract negotiations fell apart or like something. And it's always annoying when like kind of like the annoying business part of the industry ruins the artistic part, you know? I think in this case, I mean, for starters, you know, it didn't happen in the middle of like a show, so it's not like one episode to another.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, I think basically what they would have to do is they would have to cast it in such a way but have some way in the next movie of still paying homage to him in some way. In fact, you know what I noticed? So I think we talked last week how I've been watching a few other Marvel movies that I've been getting caught up on. We watched Black Panther, and I noticed, you know, in the beginning how they show like the Marvel, when they're showing the Marvel logo, they show like all the shots from different movies and everything. When you watch Black Panther, it's all just Chadwick Boseman. So when you start, it's showing like all the different characters, but it's all just him in different shots from Black Panther.
Did they change it after he passed away as like
yeah.
his remember? Oh, I should go look at that.
Yeah, so if you go to watch Black Panther on Disney Plus right now, when it's showing the Marvel logo appearing,
not right
not right now,
After
but
the
later
show.
today, you'll see it's all shots of him walking. So you can tell like they paid tribute to him in that way. So yeah, I mean that's the thing. and I think they do have to recast him because the thing is, the character now has become popular largely because of him, and it was just a well-made movie, and
The story's
people
not done
want to
yet.
see more Black Panther. Exactly,
Yeah.
the story's not done yet. So,
But I mean, it's like
But
if
that's-
we were to recast the sit down.
well, that's the thing. Yeah,
Sorry, Scott, you can't get rid of me as a co-host anymore. I know you
No.
tried with your brother and it didn't work out, but no, I'm just
didn't work out. You know what? People noticed. People noticed these things. You know. Or at least Taylor would have to shave next time. Actually, did he have the beard on the air? I'm trying to
He
remember now.
did. He did.
He did,
He
right?
had the whole facial hair, the whole long hair. Now it's just facial hair.
So we'll just have to.
Now we can
we're gonna
Photoshop
keep on
him into
going.
your picture.
That's true. Actually, I know we look more alike now. I know. Oh, Romina Dasic, have a great show.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Mom.
And Jesus Mendoza is here. Hello, welcome to the show, Jesus Mendoza. And Brando King is here. Hello, hi Scott. Hello. Welcome to the show. And we're just
My mom,
We're just
actually, you mentioned my mom in the chat. She has a question for you.
Hmm.
Her question is, what is your favorite song to perform?
my favorite song to perform. So for sure, my favorite song to perform acoustically when I'm just by myself is Can't Take My Eyes Off You.
I had that in my
By
head. I had a feeling
Frankie
you were going to
Valli.
say that.
Yeah.
Ew, that was weird.
It's just my favorite one because, and it's funny how I sing it now because it was one that was asked of me to play. I had to I was asked to perform at my aunt's wedding a few years back, and I think it was their favorite song, and they wanted that to be played at the wedding. And so I learned it and sort of put together my own kind of soft acoustic version of the song, and it just, I don't know, just the way I put it together, I just really enjoy performing it. So now it's become the song that I play
Often.
far and away the most often. Yeah. So like if I get booked somewhere and they're like, okay, we just want you to go up and play one song, 90% of the time it's going to be that song.
What's your favorite
So-
non-acoustic performance?
To play as a band, maybe Hungry Like the Wolf by Duran Duran.
How about,
We do a pretty good rock and roll version.
How about piano? Do you sing and play piano, or do you just do guitar?
I can sing and do piano, but it's not one like. Whereas with guitar, I'm more comfortable. I can just jump up and play anytime. If you told me that I had to perform live with piano, I'd need to spend more time preparing. But I think probably my favorite song to play on piano right now is, in fact, there's a version of it on my YouTube channel, the "Pull Me Through" by Jim Cuddy. I like that song. So, although the weird thing about doing that song with piano is like, it's pretty soft, and where it sits in my range, it's like there's some lower notes and some higher notes. And I do find if I'm sitting and playing it, say in a room on a real piano, sometimes the piano feels like it's louder than my voice. And so it's kind of hard for me to sing it live. But I guess if they can get the microphone in and there's a monitor so I can really hear my voice nicely, because it's one of those ones where you really want to sing like down here kind of thing. And if you're singing like that, but the piano is loud, kind of becomes difficult. Oh, Smoshy Pancakes is raiding with a party of 5. Thanks for the raid. Hello, Smoshy Pancakes. Appreciate it. Hello, all of you. Thank you for tuning in. We're chit-chatting here on episode 1. Is it 129?
Yep.
The sit down? Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
It's weird to think about.
But you know what I
129 episodes.
realized? Sorry, I keep cutting you off, but I realized is you've been streaming video games for 5 days for over a year now.
Yeah, that was a really weird thing to think about. I know, like what basically when we hit the, people were like, oh yeah, it's been a year since the pandemic started. And I was like, it's been a year. And then you'd look and they're like, oh, that means I've been streaming 5 days a week for a year. And it feels nothing like that at all, which is the strange part. Like it doesn't feel like that much time has gone by, but I know, it's actually really crazy.
Do you think it would have been different for you during the pandemic if you didn't get into streaming?
I mean, yeah. I mean, the thing is, when I think about how many things have changed, just in the channel, you know, well, like even now, like as we're sitting here, like looking at the chat, right? Like, you know, we have our parents pop in every now and again, and a few friends and things. But usually, like when the viewers for the sit down are usually like our guests or like our guests' viewers, like they'll bring people to watch them for them, right? Yeah. But what changed over the course of the pandemic is like a lot of the people who come in now are like people who also participate in the gaming streams, and then I've building the community on Discord, which before the pandemic I literally didn't know what Discord was, you know, so. Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of things that are totally different.
No, 100%. Like, if I jump into your streams and I'll be like, "Hey, Scott," people are like, "Oh, Regine's here." I'm like, "Oh, hello."
Yeah, I know. It's the thing. They know who we are. They know who you are. And I get, you know what it is also? It's if you had told me, "Oh, Scott, you should start, streaming 5 nights a week," it would have been the same as how it was with the sit down, where it's like you got to come in every Sunday, and I'm like. Oh no, I can't. I don't think I can commit to every Sunday. Even if you're asking me, oh, can you commit to 5 nights a week? I'm like, no, obviously I can't do that. Now, obviously what changed is I used to do a lot more things in the evenings, right? So like Monday nights was Siggy rehearsal, and then Friday nights, not every Friday, but every few Fridays, there's probably a gig somewhere, or Thursday sometimes. Or like if I get hired to do video work, say a band wants me to record their show or something, that's in the evenings. So I imagine as things start to open up, I'll have to alter my streaming schedule. But a whole year of 5 nights a week is something. I know. It's pretty crazy. And like the YouTube channel, I mean, we broke through 2,000 subscribers, and that was all on streaming. I mean, I uploaded a few videos, kind of intermittently throughout, but vast majority of the growth of the channel has been through streaming. So,
and now you got your own merch.
And now I got my own merch. I got a logo. And it's funny, for a long time, even years ago, like I always thought, oh, it'd be cool to have a logo, but there was never really a reason to have a logo. But then once you're building a gaming sort of persona and putting it all together, suddenly the need for these things becomes like, oh no, okay, now it makes sense. And it's just cool, like how, I don't know, things have just come together a lot better. Oh, Raisa's here. Hi, Scott and Regine.
Hello.
Happy birthday, Regine. Hello, Raisa.
Thank you. Hello.
Raisa, of course, of APSO fame.
And if you haven't watched it yet, Scott and I were interviewed by them, Raisa and Ali. So make sure you check out the video after this episode and check it out.
Yeah, that's right. It's there. Yeah. In fact, if you go we can go to our episode where we interviewed them, and then I think there'll be a link to their channel there somewhere, so you can watch it. Maybe we should do the ads. What do you think, Regine? We're at the 40-minute mark.
Oh my gosh, that went by so fast.
I know. Just chit-chatting, but this is what I like. It's a social hour, everybody. It's a hangout. Raisa says, oh, thank you guys. Hope you're doing well. You too, Raisa. You too. Ladies and gentlemen, today's episode of The Sit Down with Scott Dion Brown is brought to you by some very important people, wouldn't you say, Regine? They are, of course, our advertisers. Hey, Regine.
Yes, Scott.
Do you want to find out what your home is really worth?
Perhaps.
Are you buying, selling, investing, or renting a home?
I am. Why?
Well then, lucky day. Jennifer C., realtor at Home Life Culture Link, is here to help. Call or text Jennifer today at 647-403-8887. Don't deal with just anyone. Speak to a professional. Jennifer C. at Home Life Culture Link. To see her current listings, visit homelifeculturelink.com. The Mortgage Godfather is here to give you advice with any mortgage needs you may have, and he will shop to find you the best mortgage. Nino Simeka, mortgage agent. He'll give you an offer you can't refuse. I'll give you an offer you can't refuse, Regine. Find out more at mortgagegodfather.ca or call 905-604-6955. Jewelry Forever. Conveniently located at CF Markville Shopping Center on 5000 Highway 7 East Markham. They do custom-made jewelry, repairs, and change watch batteries, all done on site. Jerry over at Jewelry Forever is an absolute artist. He can create any type of custom jewelry. If you have a vision for something beautiful, he is the man to make it. And we have a great deal worked out with him, don't we, Regine?
We do. If you go into the store when the world opens up again, make sure you let them know that Scott and Regine sent you, and you'll get 15% off your entire purchase.
That's right, 15% off, 15%. Let them know, mention the show. Get yourself a great deal on something absolutely beautiful.
That rhymed.
Jewelry Forever. Sorry?
That rhymed. Let
It
them
did rhyme.
know.
Yes, it did. Let them know. Mention the show. Find out more at jewelryforever.ca. And it was brought to you by Deliciousness Treats.
Deliciousness treats, hot chocolate bombs, dipped Oreos, smash cakes, and more. Mother's Day is literally just around the corner, so make sure you order your mom something delicious. On Instagram, you can find us at deliciousness_treats and Facebook at deliciousness treats.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Deliciousness Treats. Sweet treats for you and a friend.
Mm-hmm.
And many other ways to eat it. It's delicious. Amazing things. Get them. Deliciousness Treats, everybody. If you would like to advertise on the show, it's very easy, right, Regine?
It's simple. All you guys have to do is email us at radioshowad, that's radioshowad, at gmail.com.
That's right. We do this show live every week, everybody, which means we do the ads live, just like we are right now, which means you can personalize them week to week. Do you have an event, a sale, something happening at a particular time in a particular place? You let us know. We let your potential client base know in real time. It's personal. It's professional. It's magical. Radio show ad, radio show ad at gmail.com. And we're back.
It's magical.
It is, Regine. It's like magic. You know, that's what they say. That's what they say.
When I was watching the ads of just seeing the, what's it called? Jewelry Forever, just seeing the store and being at the mall and remembering going there to film it, I miss the mall.
Yeah, I miss them all too. I mean, that's the thing. You just miss. Because here's the thing. Like throughout the pandemic, I have so when I got this hat made, right? I had to go to Eaton Center, right? So like, it's not like I haven't been to a mall, but what I miss is not having to be kind of like not self-conscious, but kind of just like aware of things. Like you have to think about a whole bunch of things like, you know, is my mask on? Am I staying away from people? Should I touch the surface? Yeah. Like there's just this whole other checklist of things you have to go through when you want to do something as simple as just go to the mall. Yeah, I miss that. I miss that.
You know what I
bit.
also miss? Going to concerts.
Yeah. I mean, just doing any of that stuff. Actually, speaking of that, in fact, speaking of that, hey, Ray Henry, no guest today. Today, you guys are our guests. Welcome to the show, Ray Henry. But speaking of that, is I think it's looking like vaccines are starting to become more available around our area. I've been following like there's a Twitter account called Vaccine Hunters, which a lot of people have been following, and I saw a post. They post like whenever appointments become available, and then you got to go on the website and try to get it. Speaking of concerts, it's like when you're trying to buy concert tickets and they sell out really fast.
You're on a waiting list. There's 500 people ahead of you.
Yeah. Actually, you know what's dumb? So we tried to get on one on, I want to say Friday. And the same thing was like 1 p.m. They're releasing the appointments, right? So you hit refresh. Then 1 p.m. it's like, you are in line. Wait time 3 minutes. I'm like, okay, great. Then sit there, and then suddenly it's like, wait time 4 minutes. Wait time 7 minutes. Wait time 10 minutes. So it went up to like 45 minutes. And I was like, oh. And then also like, yeah, and it doesn't say where you are in line because I don't know if it works that way. That's the thing. I don't really understand how they're doing it. But it has like, so the wait time gets longer, and then you can see the number of appointments they have listed at each location, and that number just keeps going down.
Oh no.
So suddenly it hits 0, and I'm like, oh, okay, not today. So
I was gonna ask if they had like that little man from like, I think is it Ticketmaster, where there's like a little guy who's like running in line.
yeah, no, this website is it's basically like the most basic website you can imagine. So like they don't have any, there's none of those graphics or anything. Yeah, so there's not a lot going on there. But it's also, I think, harder because like if you're not 40 plus, right? Like anybody 18 plus at this point, the eligibility is very limited because they're prioritizing people who are 40 and up, you know? So we're not there yet.
You're not there yet, Scott? No, just kidding.
No, not quite. So, but yeah, so because of that, we're just waiting and waiting and waiting. But I think it's going to be soon. I think it's going to be pretty soon.
I mean, I don't live in a hotspot either. So every time you see all these different postal codes, you see them within the area, but not your postal code. And I'm like, can't say I didn't try.
Yeah. But a few friends of mine were able to get theirs because they're in a hotspot and there was like a pop-up near them. Because apparently if you're 18 plus, that's really the only way you can get it is if like you happen to get one of those pop-up ones, which I guess must happen when they have like a couple extra. I don't really know how they organize it or how they decide how it works. I don't really know.
Me neither.
But I don't know. Are you planning to get yours as soon as you can, or what are you thinking about it?
I mean, I don't live in a hotspot. I don't leave my house. I'd rather people get it, the ones that need it first to get it, and then I'll go and get it. I'll just let all the people, like the frontline workers, the 60 plus, the 40 plus, go ahead. And then once it's like, okay, now all the mandatory people have gotten it, if the public wants to get it, go get it now. I just don't want to be that person that takes something from someone who really needs it.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat too. And and because like the thing is, all of my work is either from home or I will say this, the film industry has done a really good job of managing how they keep things safe and stuff.
That's good.
Like, well, I mean, the crazy part for me is like how many people they're going to work like every day, and like if they have to work in an office or in a factory or something where they're around people, but they're not really doing any testing for those people. It's just like
why not?
That's the thing that confuses me because like I know like so I've been on film sets now multiple times through the pandemic, right? And every single time I had to go into work, they required me and everybody else who's going to be there to be tested. Like before you can even be approved to go, you have to show that you've gotten a negative test, right? And so that's why I always felt, and then even when you're on set, you basically have to wear a mask all the time. They keep you isolated from everybody. The only time I take off my mask is when I'm actually on camera and they're rolling. And then as soon as I finish, they get cut, they have me mask up again. And the thing is, even though we're all wearing masks, like I already know that every person in that room with me has all tested negative before they could even be in the room. So I've never felt at any point that there was a high risk of me getting it. So I've been pretty pleased with how the film industry has done it. But like there are lots of industries. I don't know if it must be a cost thing, because like one thing about film is there is a lot more money, I guess, just in everything. So like I don't know. It would be a huge cost if like every business had to, I don't know, pay for COVID testing, or if every person had to pay for testing every week.
But you don't have to pay for a test, do you?
It depends. So I think if you go, that's true. Because like the first time I was going on set, they just told me to go get a test. And so I had to go to like a hospital and that was free. Yeah. I stand in line and get my test. So that's true. But like what I've noticed is the last couple times I've been set up is the production company set up a private appointment. And one of them, they just sent me to a lab and they pay for it, right? Like I saw the bill and they were charging like $160 for the test. And the film
What?
company paid that. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But then there was another one that I was in where I guess it was a larger company where they actually had a room at the studio where they were it was a testing room.
Like a
So they had a
rapid
private-
test?
No, it wasn't rapid test, but it was the same test you got at the hospital. Like I go and I sit down, they stick it up my nose, mix it around. And then a day or so later, I get the results. So like what they had to do was so I remember they wanted me on set. I had to do a few different things because they wanted me for wardrobe, and then I had to go for this prosthetic thing for my teeth that they were doing. And so,
Cool.
yeah, it was pretty. I'll be able to talk about it more once it's on the air, but it was pretty neat. But so because I had to go to multiple days, they actually had me get it tested twice. They had me tested first to go to the wardrobe fitting and the prosthetic thing, and then I was on set like 2 days later, so they had me go get tested again the day before that.
Oh wow.
And that was all at the production company. So the way they had it set up was like they had different tiers of people. So like if you're tier A, which is like actors and I think the crew that are working right around the actors, you had to get tested like every other day. And then if you're in tier B, which is like crew that's further away, where you're generally, then I think you get tested a little bit less often. And then if you're the crew that like you just have your own office and you're not near anybody, you get tested like once a week or something.
Wow.
And so it's basically part of people's routine where it's like they get to the studio, they check in, they go get their COVID test, and then they go to work. And so people who are working in that industry, like they get tests all the time.
They get their
right?
nose cleaned all the time.
All the time, yeah. And the thing is, it's like, I think it's worked. Like as far as I know, there have been some instances where people cases have happened, like it can happen, but I think because the testing is so frequent, things have been caught pretty well. And as far as I know, like they've handled it well. But then I think of like, I don't know, even friends of mine that I know who either work in say a factory or like and I ask them like, I'm just like, have you been tested? And they're all like, yeah, have you been tested? Or like I feel bad for like even teachers as well, because they have to do, most of the time they're doing distance ed, but for a fair stretch they were doing in-class schooling, and they reduced numbers of kids say in distance,
but they didn't really.
Yeah, well, because I mean I think it's hard to hard to maintain, right? And then you take into account like, I don't know, schools have, if it's an old building, how good is the ventilation, right? And if you physically don't have the numbers, all this stuff but the thing is, I don't know how, like all these teachers are going to school and there's no testing happening at all. It's basically just like everybody is just going, they're all converging on this one location, and you're just hoping that nobody got it somewhere out in their daily life.
Yep.
I don't know. It'd be scary. I wouldn't want to do it. But then if it's your job, what are you supposed to do? Like,
exactly.
So I don't know.
I'm just glad to be working from home and not having to worry about the subway commute, the people on the subway, the people in the path, the people that you walk past. I'll just
Exactly. I mean that's why I'm glad it sounds like now, like for the longest time they weren't even prioritizing the vaccines based on location or like hotspots. They weren't even talking about that, right? They started with
age groups,
which I understand to an extent. You try to get the most vulnerable, but at the same time, if you've got somebody who's in a certain age group but they live at home or they're working from home, we don't need to get that person a vaccine more than we need to get somebody who has to go be surrounded by people 5 days a week, and then take the subway to get there. So it sounds like now they finally switched to prioritizing that, but it's been
just took a while.
took a while. So so anyway, I'll get it when I can get it. It's not a huge rush for me, and like you said, I kind of in the same boat in that, like, I wouldn't want to get one from somebody who could use it more than I could. And again, because the industry I'm working in, it's like, one, I'm either at home because all my auditions are at home, and when I do have to go on set, you said the testing is so thorough. Like it's weird how in some ways I almost feel more safe than normal, you know?
And you're Mr. Here's your smash cake. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, because that's the thing. Because you know, there's been a handful of times where I've had to go out, like say, like we go to Shoppers Drug Mart, we got to get something, you know. So there we're going into a store, we're wearing our masks, everyone's wearing a mask, but like I don't know who's been there, you know. But when I'm on set, I remember the first time I was on set, it had been a few months since I'd really spoken to anybody outside of my girlfriend in person, right? And I remember I sit down in the makeup chair and there's somebody like touching me, you know?
Like who?
Yeah, but it was weird because it was like this. I'm like, this is such a strange feeling. And then I was sitting there with all these other actors, and we were masked up, but we were all sitting in this room together. But it was one of the only circumstances where, in a while, where I didn't have to feel that like, I hope I'm not going anywhere near these people, because I knew every person in here has been tested. We were, you know, they've managed it. So in a way, it was like I was looking forward to those. It's like the only real social interaction I was able to have with people. So we're almost there.
I've never even gotten my nose swabbed, so I don't even know what it feels like. Like that's how often I stay inside the house.
Yep.
Like you mentioned going to the grocery store and going to Shoppers Drug Mart. I just Instacart it because I'd rather somebody else do the dirty work. It's crazy because it's something as simple as going to the grocery store that I'm like,
yeah.
And then it gets there, and then you sanitize everything.
Yeah, exactly. For groceries, we've still been doing the curbside pickup. I like the curbside pickup, actually. Actually, no, you know what happened this week? We ordered groceries, and I did the same thing we always do. We picked our pickup time, and it was supposed to be like 1 p.m. And then I got a call at like 12:30, and they're like, "Oh, Scott, we're having some issues with our system. I think we can have it ready within the hour, but can you wait for us to call you? We'll tell you when it's ready." I'm like, "Okay, fine." So they called me around like 2 o'clock, and they were like, "Okay, your order should be ready for pickup." I'm like, "Okay." So I drove over, and they also said normally that you don't even like have to pay when you're there. Like you had to give your credit card when you pay on the website, and it just charges automatically. This time they were like, "We're not able to charge the card on file, so we're gonna please bring your credit card with you." So I got there, and first thing I realized when I pulled into the parking lot is that there were a lot of cars waiting. And normally when I go, there's like none. I think I was there for over an hour in the parking lot. And I didn't notice because I turned a video on. I watched I must have watched several 10-15 minute videos. That's why I'm like, how long has it been? Because I've watched a lot of YouTube here. Then somebody came out and they had the little scanner, and they had me pay through the window. So I was waiting forever, and then when they put the stuff in the trunk, and then when I got home, half the groceries, our order was not there. Like half our order just wasn't there. And they didn't charge us for it, but it was I remember when we put the order, the bill was like $80, and the total that they charged us was like $45, and they just left half of our order out. And then the next day, I got an email being like, "Your order has been canceled," and I was like, "What do you mean it's been canceled? I picked it up, it's done now." So I think what must have happened is they just had a severe malfunction in their system. Yeah, something went wrong with their whole system. And my guess is when they were bringing us our order, they were just they grabbed whatever they could and gave it to us, but they didn't. Anyway, they had a rough day. That's so crazy.
Because I use Instacart, and I have a lot of horror stories about using Instacart, but I still use it anyway. But to think, because you actually use the site, the store's program, at least with Instacart, I understand it's third party, so it's crazy. So
in Instacart, I've never used Instacart, but how is it? Is it kind of like Uber sort of, except it's just for deliveries, or how does it work?
So it's literally based on your postal code, so it's not just groceries. It's groceries. I've seen Sephora on there. Indigo, Mastermind Toys is on there, so you can actually buy a bunch of stuff on Instacart. You pick the store that you want, you pick the items that you want, you pay for it online, and then a delivery person, or a person will pick the order, they'll go to the store, pick the entire order, and then deliver it. So similar to what you're doing, but that person would drive it to your house.
I see. Actually, that's pretty convenient. So I guess the idea is, so the stores are based on like, there's like what, like a however many kilometer radius in your area, and they'll go to any of the stores that are near you, basically.
Mm-hmm. So like Loblaws, you know where Loblaws is near me. I mean, I could easily walk there, but they'll sometimes, depending on how busy it is or how many orders, they'll have this store staff pick the orders, and then a delivery person will drop them off, which I prefer, to be honest, because some Instacart delivery people, they'll take, like, say it's Costco, they're already in line, they'll take like 5 or 6 different orders, and you can only imagine what you get out of 6 or 7 different people's orders. So
I see. Yeah, that makes sense. So when you order something from Instacart, you can order from multiple stores in one order?
No.
Oh, so you can only pick your store. I get it. So then the person goes to the one store you ordered from, and they go pick up your stuff for you.
But say like
But
say like you and I were neighbors and we both put an order, and the person realized that, then they can pick both our orders at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Just be careful and make sure that you have all your correct items. It doesn't happen often, but I've noticed there was a stretch where it was happening really often, and I complained to Instacart, being like, what the heck is going on here?
Well, because is it similar to Uber? Like, if you wanted to be like an Instacart person, like you basically register your location, so then when you place an order, I guess the way Uber, like they get a notification and the person tries to get it, and then that becomes their order, and they go get the stuff,
and then they drop it off. And I've seen some Instacart driver just parked outside waiting to grab another order because there's so many grocery stores near here.
I see. And then in that case, then you're really reliant on how organized that Instacart driver
and
is.
How well of a driver or well of a shopper they are. Like, I've had some where I've had the same exact shopper 3 or 4 times, and they already know where to drop it off. I don't need to be like, drop it off here. Or because if they're out of a certain item, there's like, oh, what replacement do you want? They already know, okay, she likes this.
It's pretty good service, actually. What are they when you pay, is it like there's a flat delivery fee, or is just each individual item slightly more expensive? How do they do it?
There's a flat delivery fee, but because I pay for like the membership part, I get free delivery, and then I can pick, depending on how busy it is, 2-hour order, like a 2-hour shopping order, a 5-hour shopping order, whatever the windows might be, and it helps. Because if I'm working and I know I finish work at, say, 2:30, I can have the groceries dropped off at 2:30.
That's pretty good. I wonder if I should look into them. I mean,
I have a
now that we're doing
code, so I'll send it to you. So you get $10 off, and then I get $10 off.
All right, cool. Yeah, because that could be a good thing to have just for, well, anything, I guess, right? You can just kind of, it's not bad. But yeah, and I've noticed even with Loblaws, where the one we do, the curbside pickup, like we've had mistakes in our order before. It's usually pretty good, but one thing I have found is, like, say when you order vegetables, like say I like to get the big bags of spinach, the big bags of cooking spinach, and I've noticed, like, when I'm buying it myself, I'll like pick up the bag and I'll be like, okay, some of those look a little dark and soggy, okay, and there have been a few times with Loblaws where I'm like, did you
even
like,
look?
Yeah, like this is, so I probably not the bag I would have picked, but other than that, I've been pretty happy. In fact, I will say Friday was the only time where I was like,
it's because you picked a Friday.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Maybe I'm not sure what day we usually pick it up. I never thought about that.
Was
maybe
it like
that's
a Friday afternoon? Because especially now that
Friday 1 o'clock.
Everyone's working from home, they can just go on their lunch break on a Friday to pick up their groceries.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, it could be that, but I do think they must have had like like I said, their payment processing thing went down, and I think that's what messed them up. So
reminded me of Superstore. Have you watched Superstore?
Actually, we have been watching Superstore. Yeah, there's that episode where they start doing curbside pickup,
That's
and
what I
they
thought.
guarantee, yeah, and they guarantee 30 minutes, which doesn't make any sense. So
It's
they have a
TV
guarantee
though.
yeah, so they have a guarantee that so I can place the order, and within 30 minutes of me placing the order, I can go pick it up and it's ready. I mean,
It
that's a
was
nice
so
service,
good,
but
though.
what do you do when there's like, well, that's what happens in the store. There's like 50 people showing up.
Exactly.
Bad system. Even Loblaws doesn't allow that. Like when you do a curbside pickup with Loblaws, you have to go in and pick a time slot, and I believe the time slots are. It might be with an hour spot. So there's 1 o'clock. It's either an hour or half hour. 1 o'clock, 1:30. I think it's one.
Instacart is 2 hours is the minimum.
Yeah, there you go. But again, it's not even like Instacart. Like it's not even like from when you place the order. Like you have to choose the time slot that's available, and if it's not available, then you can't have that time. So like it could be possible that like you can place your order today, and maybe you want to pick it up this afternoon, but there are no orders. So like it's like no, you can't. The earliest you can do is tomorrow at, you know what I mean? But at least then you know it's manageable, so they can keep it, you know.
But that episode, when I watched it, I was like, oh my God, imagine if that was now.
Well, that's the thing, even worse.
Because
that's the thing. Yeah, it is pretty fun. But that's the thing. That show's done now, right? And I don't think
there's a season
have any,
6, but I can't find it anywhere to watch for free.
Oh, but that's all filmed before the pandemic, yeah. So like, I don't think.
But
the
season 6 is during the pandemic.
Oh, really?
So,
so maybe
I've
they will.
seen like photos, because now that I can't find the seasons, I kind of unfollow them on Instagram so I don't see updates. But there are episodes where they're all in masks and they're frontline workers now. So I'm intrigued.
Huh, interesting. Do you do that? Like when you're following a show, you kind of go on, you follow, like who do you follow? You follow the official show account, or you follow the actors who are in the show?
The official one, and then when I stop watching, I unfollow.
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
I mean, I binge so much. So like Drag Race, I have binged, like I said, from season 1 to 13. And so now that season 13 is over, I am now following them again, so I don't get any spoilers.
That makes sense. In fact, I remember when I was we talked about Flashpoint, I think last week, the show Flashpoint. I can't remember when we talked about it. When I was really into that show and I was more active on Twitter, I think at that time I went and followed like the official Flashpoint, and I think like half the cast, I was following them on Twitter. And then over time, I've slowly kind of unfollowed them because I'm not that interested in what they're up to anymore. But although I kind of felt bad when I unfollowed, I'm like, oh, you know, well, I still like you, but
like I watch The Challenge or I watch stuff like that, and so when it's towards this finale and say I'm late watching it, I will make sure I do not go on my Instagram or my Facebook because I know there's going to be spoilers, so I just have to wait.
People shouldn't post spoilers on things. I don't know why they do
like
that.
Sometimes like the character, or not the characters, the cast of say The Challenge, and it's the finale, and you don't want to see the person who won post being like, "Yay, I won," or "Oh, I didn't win," because then I'll know that. Oh no.
Oh yeah, I guess that makes sense. Oh yeah, that's true. And I guess that because sometimes they'll get like people who are involved in the show. Yeah, they'll be live tweeting along with the episode. So I guess that's an okay exception, because I guess you figure people who are following those characters are doing it because they're following along with the show.
Or with pageants, like if you follow, for myself, like Miss Universe, Miss Grand, all these pageants that are happening. If I know, say for example, Miss Grand International was in Thailand and there's a huge time difference, I will make sure not to go on Instagram so I don't get updates on who the top 5 was, who the winner was. I'll just wait, get off of it for a bit, and then watch it on YouTube, because if I don't, I will already know who the winner is beforehand.
I'm no good at that. For me, that's kind of like sports. It's like if I can't really sit down and watch like a pre-recorded game, because I'd be too tempted to just be like, okay, who won?
Fast
like,
forward. Yeah.
Do you want to watch this? Yeah. But I don't know. I'm not disciplined enough to.
Well, pageants is different, because for me, it's more like I'm watching the pageants, I'm seeing the different contestants, but I'm also analyzing to be like, do I like this evening gown for myself? It's like it becomes this whole
Makes sense.
research thing.
Makes sense. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I can see that. That's the thing with hockey, I'm like, or basketball, right? It's like I'm watching it, but then you're kind of just like, okay, yeah, this, I'm not watching for anything. What I like to watch is usually like they'll do something like a highlight video or like I know the Leafs, they have like the game in 6 usually, which is like it's a 6-minute video just showing all the highlights of the game. So you see like all the goals and all the important moments.
Mm-hmm.
After the game is done, I prefer to just watch that. So I can't really watch it in advance.
That's fair.
Can't really watch the pre-recorded ones. So yeah.
This was a random episode.
It was, but you know what? It was a nice chat.
Random
We got to some
time,
good areas.
random topics.
Yeah, it was just, good catching up. I will say Mortal Kombat, it's a pretty fun movie. The other thing I'll say is it's actually one thing I did want to point out about it is that, hey, Aqua, how are you? Welcome. Is so one thing I was reading, I wasn't aware of it at the time, but the first Mortal Kombat movie, it was rated PG-13. And the way it got a PG-13 rating is because it's not, there's like no blood at all. And for Mortal Kombat, it's not really like part of the appeal of Mortal Kombat was how bloody the game was. Even though the original Mortal Kombat, like the blood looks really goofy, but the idea was that it was a bloody, violent game.
Pixelated blood.
Yeah, exactly. But the Mortal Kombat movie, to get the PG-13 rating, they basically there's no blood. Like they're just fighting and but you never see the blood. And same with Mortal Kombat Annihilation. It's also no blood at all because I guess they want to get kids to watch it. And this movie that just came out, it's like really bloody. Like there's lots of blood. There's people getting chopped in half and arms and limbs getting cut off and stabbed everywhere. Oh yeah, it's. But I was thinking about it is like the way movies are now, like how the pandemic has forced everything into streaming, and we're kind of more watching stuff at home. And also, I think it shifted the model. Whereas I imagine if this Mortal Kombat movie, if it was coming out even just a few years ago, and they had to create it for theaters, I can imagine the film company being like, "Oh no, it's going to be rated R. We want to get the teenagers and the kids to watch it. You got to take out this violence, you got to make sure," you know what I mean? And I almost feel like, but the pandemic has kind of shifted things now where I guess because there are less costs, like it's so expensive to put a movie in theaters, but it's way cheaper to put it online. And I think it kind of made me think like it's gave me some excitement that I think we're going to be able to start to see things that maybe we wouldn't have been able to see before.
Makes me
excited.
You're onto something.
Yeah. Well, I'm even thinking like the Snyder cut, the Justice League Snyder cut that came out. Have you watched it yet or no? You haven't watched it?
No, not yet.
So it's like, it's good. It's a good movie. I actually suggest it. Like did you see the original Justice League?
Long. Nope.
Yeah. So the first Justice League is not good at all. Like if you watch the first Justice League, I remember watching it and I was like, this is them trying to do Marvel Endgame, but they just can't. It's just not. It's not the same. But the Snyder cut, I think, pulls it off really well. But again, that's a 4-hour movie, right? And I mean, the reason that the original Justice League came out at like whatever it is, 2 hours, an hour and 30 minutes, is because they were convinced that this 4-hour movie that Zack Snyder wanted to make wouldn't sell. But because they needed streaming services, right? They finished the Snyder cut and put it on the streaming service, and now it's hugely popular. And that's like another example of something where I feel like because now they got rid of some of those costs, it's almost like they can afford to take a few more risks. They can throw something onto a streaming service or on YouTube or wherever and just see if people like it. So I guess it's similar with Disney Plus, how we're seeing like WandaVision and Winter Soldier and like all of these, they're like side characters who would they have made them an entire movie? I don't know, maybe not, right? But they can afford to put
not.
Yeah. But then now we're seeing it's like I don't know if they were always planning to make a Winter Soldier Falcon movie or Captain America 4. I don't know. But they were almost able to use this show, put it on Disney Plus as a tester to see, well, do people like this? Okay, yeah, maybe they do.
And they do.
Maybe we can put them on a movie. Yeah. So it's kind of makes me excited a little bit for the future.
So then, are you excited for the new Star Wars thing that's coming out soon?
Is that show? Well, there's a few Star Wars things. There's one about the story.
I just knew there was some
Batch?
kind of Star Wars thing coming out. Don't ask
Yeah.
me.
So I know there's a show called The Bad Batch that's coming out, which I think it's based on they're like a group of clone troopers. So one thing I never really watched with Star Wars is like a lot of those animated series, the Clone Wars and all of those. I only started watching Clone Wars recently, and I like it, but I kind of missed out on all of those. I didn't really watch them when they were really coming out. But I think I'm excited because apparently those shows are good, and Bad Batch is based on those, so that'll probably be good. But I know like Obi-Wan, the show is coming out. There's going to be an Obi-Wan Kenobi show. There's going to be the Book of Boba Fett, and I don't know. Apparently they've got something like 10 or 14 shows planned. So
is there going to be another Mando coming out? Because I do like Baby Yoda.
Yeah. So what I've heard is that they're going to do Book of Boba Fett, and then I think it'll be what's the one I just mentioned before that? Obi-Wan, and then I think Mandalorian season 3 is coming after that. And then I don't really know how long that's going to be or what's going to happen. So I don't know. We'll see. It's hit and miss, a lot of this stuff. But I've been generally pretty happy with most of the Disney Plus things. Mm-hmm. I thought the Captain America Winter Soldier was good.
I'm excited for the movie.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. But what I will say is Mortal Kombat, that experience of seeing how violent it was, it kind of just gives me hope that maybe they'll be able to the production companies will be able to take a few more risks on things that, whereas before you always had the studios coming in and meddling and saying, hey, you can't put that in. No one's going to buy it. It's not going to sell. And so they're afraid to take the risk. But maybe they'll be willing to take a bit more of a risk because, one, a lot of these streaming services are starving for content. So they just want stuff to go out. And because there's less cost associated with where you can release it, they don't have to worry about, how's it going to do on this one opening weekend?
Yeah.
Is it in enough theaters? When, are people going to see it? Because now it's like, people would want stuff to watch. Anyway, it gives me hope, Regine.
Okay, well, how do you feel then about things like Netflix taking away the privilege to binge new series?
Oh, what are they doing? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so remember how I was mentioning The Circle, for example. The Circle USA, the first season, they threw everything on at one time, so you can just binge from beginning to end. Now they're doing it week-to-week episodes. Same with Nailed It. Nailed It was all just thrown on at one time, like season 5 here, or not season 5, season 2, here you go, here's the entire thing. Now it's week to week to week, so they're becoming something like Disney Plus, where Mandalorian's coming out every Friday. Okay,
yep.
You can't binge it.
But you're able to binge it all once they're all released, right? Yeah, my thoughts are I actually don't mind it. The reason I think it's...
I like binging.
I mean, here's the thing. I like binging, but one thing I remember, and I know why they're doing it too, because it allows their product to be relevant for longer, right? Like one thing I remember, for example, like Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones, until the final season, was like the best show, right? And it was the show that everybody was talking about. But I think the thing that made it special was like an episode would happen, say like the Red Wedding. Have you watched Game of Thrones? Anyway, so there's a bunch, but let's say the Red Wedding was like a really big episode. There were lots of episodes like that, but let's say the Red Wedding. So, Red Wedding airs on whatever day Game of Thrones used to air. I can't remember, but it would air. And then it's like Monday morning at at work, and that whole week,
everyone's talking
it's
about
all anybody. Yeah. It's all anybody's talking about, and all the chatter online is about it, and people are posting memes about that episode and predictions, blah, blah, blah. So then all week they talk about it. They're all in anticipation for the next week. And so I think it allows them to just drag it out. Whereas when you release the entire season as one thing, yeah, it's fun and people like binging a whole season. But I think from a marketing perspective, it's like they're able to basically build up hype for every episode instead of just building up hype for one thing. So
what do you think about if something like Tiger King did that? Do you think it'd be something people talked about in the office?
Yeah, I don't know. That's
do you
the
think
thing.
Carol
It's like
Baskin really did that? We'll find out next week.
yeah, I mean, Tiger King's a weird one because you almost feel like if there wasn't a pandemic, would anybody have even watched it? Like, would they ever even stumbled upon it? It's such a weird.
If it wasn't for the
existed in such a weird
pandemic,
thing.
would Carol Baskin been on Dancing with the Stars? Who knows?
Yeah. I know, that's the thing. That's the thing. Hey, Rainiel Piga, how are you? Welcome to the show. Welcome. And that's it's weird to think about, but like I will say this, like WandaVision,
Mhm.
right? I think I said when it first came out, how like the first 3 episodes for me could have been one episode, right? And you can imagine, like I think with that one, did they release the first 2 episodes together? I think that's what they did, or 3 episodes
I
together.
think it was just one.
And then we had to wait a week for the second one. But I will say, so there's a bit of a risk in that. For me, I wasn't into WandaVision until like the 3rd episode or maybe the 4th episode, because I felt like the first episode was so just like an old-timey TV show that I was just like, is this gonna work? So there's a bit of a risk in that if people are turned off by the first episode, they can't just binge into the 2nd and 3rd.
Mhm.
So you kind of make sure you really got to hit them hard with that first one. But
True.
I actually kind of like the releasing week to week. Again, and it's more like old school TV, and I still
That's
think there is
fair.
something nice. Yeah, there's something nice about, again, it's like you watch that awesome episode and then you're all talking about it and you're thinking about it.
Mhm.
I also think it's more like the way you kind of feel like you start to really know these characters and like you spend years with them because like they come into your home every week or whatever.
Yeah.
If they're only coming in for like that one streaming thing and then you're on to the next season, and you know, one day you watch I'll sit 10 episodes and then tomorrow you're watching another thing, I feel like it's disposed a lot quicker. Whereas I think if you drag it out and let people think about it longer, I think it feels more I think it makes it more special.
But in the world in the pandemic, I do prefer to binge everything.
I mean, no, that's the thing. People have way more time. So it's definitely more frustrating because it's like while you're waiting for the next episode of whatever you want to watch, you have to go binge something else, I guess.
But that happened to me. That's how I actually ended up watching all of RuPaul's Drag Race, because I was watching season 13 and I just got really irritated waiting for the next week's episode to come out. So like, you know what? Let's just fill in the gaps and just start from season 1 and work my way down.
Yep. Yeah, I think, you know what? I will say I like it, but what's good is, and what would be bad is if you couldn't like watch all the past episodes.
Like they put it on and then took it off a week later. That would be mean.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's how like the way TV used to be, right? It's like if you missed the episode you wanted to watch, it's like, you know, hopefully you can find an episode. Hopefully they're re-airing it at some point, or hopefully there's another, you know.
Or it
like
comes out on DVD set.
Yeah. Well, like in fact, so when I was a kid, there was, you know, the movie Saving Private Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
So I loved that movie, and then Steven Spielberg produced a show called Band of Brothers, which was another like World War II show. It was on, I think it was probably airing on the I don't remember now, the Movie Network maybe, I don't remember, but I remember like I was like so excited to watch that show because I loved Saving Private Ryan and I wanted to watch the show, and it was like every week it was going to air for an hour or something. But if I remember at the time, it was like, I think I would look online of when it's supposed to air, but then the time was wrong because I was seeing like the American times or something.
Oh no.
So or it moved. I can't remember exactly how, but I remember I was able to catch like the first 2 episodes, 2 weeks. And then the 3rd week, they either moved the time or I couldn't find it or I missed it. And so that's just a show that to this day, I've never seen it because it was like, I missed that 3rd episode. And then I couldn't find it again after that. And then I kind of just got annoyed. And there was no streaming. There was nowhere for, you know, so it was just gone.
Or
you know,
PVR, where you can just record it, set record it.
yeah, yeah.
Well, do you remember
So
the world? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No,
Finish your.
no, I was just gonna say. So it's just one of those things where that show is like I missed it, and so it's gone now. You know, wouldn't happen now if I. Oh, there it is. It's Anyway, yeah. What were you gonna say?
I say, remember the days of like TV guides where you get it in the mail and you can see what's coming on when it's coming on.
Yeah, or like,
Welcome
or remember
to 30,
you go to the
Regine.
yeah. Remember, or they had like the channel, like you go to like what was it, Channel 5, and you could just like see what's on here.
Or you missed the channel, but you saw the show, and you're like, oh, now to wait until it goes to the entire thing again.
Yeah, or you're like trying to find like the West Coast, channel of the thing, so you can like catch up on it.
Yeah. What a weird time.
How did we survive, Regine?
I don't know. But it's like sometimes my PVR doesn't record something that I was like, okay, like Keeping Up with the Kardashians. It didn't record this episode for some reason. Why? So I would scroll and look to see when it would air again at like 3 a.m. and record that episode.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. And like, for a stretch, like when PVRs came out, but then there was like a limit to the amount you could record.
Yeah.
Right. So, and it would be something like, I remember there'd be something where like my dad would like go through the menu, and he'd be like, there'd be like some show, like, I don't even know what it would be. Power Rangers, right? We set it to record Power Rangers. And there'd be like 800 episodes of Power Rangers recorded because it was recording every airing anywhere. He's like, are you guys still watching this? And I was like, oh, no. And he's like, okay, well, the PVR is full and there's like 800 episodes of this. So you have to like clear it
manually.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't miss any of those things. So I will say this. I think there's something nice about making people wait for the next one, because there is something cool about like even the idea of ending an episode in a cliffhanger, right? Mm-hmm. Like when you end on a cliffhanger, there's something exciting about being like, so what's going to happen? But if you just get to watch what happens immediately afterwards, there's something nice about, it's kind of, remember what Jenna was talking about, how the reason she likes blasting herself with cold water in the morning is because it's like it's important to inject just a little bit of suffering. You know what I mean? Or like, or like what you were saying. In fact, that's not the best part. The best part is what she says. Like, if she wants to still appreciate like her place, she purposely like she'll delay like upgrading the data on her phone so that she has to do without it for a little while to make sure she appreciates it. I think when you force that, like, oh man, what's gonna happen in the next episode? When you finally get to see that episode, you almost enjoy it more. So I think there's something about it.
I love how you went from talking about TV shows to your cousin's cold shower conversation.
Yeah. It's all related. It's all related.
It always is. And if you don't know what to do, just turn on Channel 5 and you'll figure something out.
Yeah. You can see, guys, what's on. Oh, man. Does
Channel
that channel
5.
still exist? It must still exist. Does it still exist?
I don't know, because on things like the cable boxes, it's all listed there. So there's
That's true. Yeah,
Channel
you can
5.
You can just hit the browse button.
Isn't it crazy? Like, there's no channel 25. Like, we all knew 25 was YTV. Now,
YTV.
Depending on which box you have, and if you even have cable, you're like, cable again. Or you knew 20, or 2 was TVO Kids.
Well, and that was the annoying thing, is that so at first it changed because like depending on who your service provider was
or which city you lived in.
Yeah, but like the channels would be different. So like I know, like if I know somebody who has Bell, like on I think Rogers, the channels generally stayed the same. But if you had Bell, it's like no, YTV is now like channel 324 or something. And I was like, why did you I don't know.
And now they have the HD version of it and the non-HD version of each channel. Like, just give me a channel.
Yeah. And then you had to pay extra for HD. It was that. But I guess no, so Channel 5. I guess Channel 5 wouldn't. There are still people who don't have.
Do you have cable?
Cable. I don't have cable, no.
Yeah. So go check your TV if Channel 5 is still a thing.
Well, I don't even have. Well, what I have now is we don't even use it because it doesn't work that well, but we have a TV antenna that hangs in our window, and we get a handful of channels
You get
to it, but I don't think
TVO
channel.
kids.
Yeah, we get TVO, CBC, CTV, Global. Sometimes we get Fox, but it's only on a clear day
Sometimes.
because we can get it from the US. But if it's cloudy, it can't come in. But I do find our old condo was facing south, so we got more channels. Our current one faces north, and so we don't get as many. It's harder to get.
Make
to
a
get
friend
channels.
across the hall and be like, "Can you stick this outside?"
Yeah, I'll just run this wire down through the hallway. Yeah. So I do find we've barely been using it now just because it's been pretty unreliable. I don't know if I need to recalibrate it, but we've just been streaming anyway.
Oh my god, a TV antenna! It's like you have to like adjust it. Just
Yeah. Well, I mean, this one it's a bit more like because one thing they did change a few years ago, right, is the TV antennas. They've gone all digital now. Because remember how it used to be like you could get a channel, but it would be all and it'd be all grainy. With digital now, you either get the channel completely and it's perfectly crystal clear HD, or you don't get it at all because it's a digital signal. So you can get really nice picture. It's just you have to make sure you get the signal, otherwise you don't get it. So there's no like bzzz. It's either there or it's not there. But okay.
and that's why you stream your stuff.
Yeah. It's so weird how it's exactly. I stream everything now. It's just it's better. It's just better. It's weird because it's like what we would have dreamed of having, and now we have it.
I mean, I still do like watching MTV and TLC, so I think I need my cable box.
Yeah. MTV. Although so MTV is just reality TV shows now, right? They don't really play
isn't it
music
crazy
anymore.
how MTV used to be about music and rock and roll and music videos, kind of like Much Music. Now there is no Much Music.
There's Much Music. Well, it still exists. Is it the same thing? I thought they're just playing reality TV on Much Music as well.
Let me check my cable box, but I don't think I don't watch Much Music anymore, but I remember watching it for like all the hit music videos or shows like Pimp My Ride.
Because you know why? The thing is, basically the gap that MTV and Much Music used to fill has been taken over by the internet now, right? So if you want to see the latest music videos, you go on like YouTube and you can see it all there. And it's interesting because now like all the Much Music VJs and all those guys, like that niche is now filled by internet personalities. Like Much Music used to be like rebellious and like, this is where you got this. But now if you want to see that, you watch a show like this one. Like we're basically we are filling that niche in a small way. It's the alternative. So
this week
media.
we're going to be playing.
Well, I mean, when we have an artist
25.
on, when we have an artist on, people come on here. They hear music that they've never heard before.
That's true.
It's kind of a cool thing.
It's true. Now that you put it that way.
And once we're doing it in person again, and we can get real bands coming in again, like that was cool.
The way
people
that you
were able
would
to tune into the
film
show.
it too, the way you would film them performing was a very like Much Music MTV vibe.
Yes, and it will be again. Like how cool was that when they, they came in and they got to see Silver Lining perform live. It was something special. That's the one thing that, well, not the only thing, but it's one thing particularly with our show that I really felt like, the pandemic kind of took some wind out of our sails, because I really think we were falling into a format that was something really, really cool.
Like we knew if there was a guest, this is how many songs they're going to play, this is when they're going to do it, without even talking to each other. We already knew, okay, let's go. Bring the camera this way.
Yes. But I mean, one thing I will say, like the technical improvements that I've made to the show, when we finally get back to doing it in person, we're going to be able to do even way more things. So it's cool.
Intriguing.
The time will come soon. I guess
and
once
it'll
we're
be better
both...
because then we will be on two separate screens. Separate boxes.
Yeah. I've still gone back every now and again. In fact, on my phone, I was looking at... Actually, it was actually one of the episodes where you weren't there. But do you remember the episode where Garson was on and we were all... Me, Taylor, and
Mixing
Garson did
drinks?
that little dance? Yeah, but we did that dance for Siggy's thing. And I was just watching like the three of us do this stupid dance. But it was just so like goofy. And it was just so fun because we're all hanging out. Or like when I don't know, just any of the time when it's just more fun when there's like, 5 people in a room together and we're all just hanging out.
Well, do you remember when we had Melvin on the show and I just came back from the Philippines and brought all these snacks? I was
Yeah.
like, here, let's pass the snacks around.
Yeah. There's just so much more. There's so many more options, so much more flexibility. Soon, Regine, soon. The interesting thing I'll have to figure out, though, is like, I've obviously upgraded my computer here. So it's a better system than even the one we were using uptown. So I'm going to have to figure something out. Anyways.
Lugs his
choices
computer
to be made.
everywhere.
Yeah, it's the thing. I don't want to lug this all the way uptown. I'll see. Maybe I'll upgrade the one uptown. There is a computer there. Things to think about. Anyway, Regine, this was a good... I mean, how long have we been going
What
now?
time
Hour and a
is
half.
it? Oh my god.
Hour and a half just hanging out. Pretty nice.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you got planned for this week?
Tomorrow on the pageant sit down, if for all of our pageant fanatics out here, if there are any, make sure you tune in because I actually have Miss Universe Canada 2019 Alyssa Boston on the show tomorrow. I'm really excited to have her on the show. I have a bunch of different guests on this week, so that's something I'm definitely looking forward to. I'm just still on this birthday weekend high of maybe it's all the cupcakes and sugar that I've received and sent to my house on Friday, but I'm just still on this high of I'm still getting birthday presents mailed, and I'm like, oh, cool, like this headband right here, put it back on. So, still celebrating my birthday.
That's good. And yeah, guys, tune in. Regine's show, The Pageant Sit Down, on her channel. Link in description down below. That's cool. Miss Universe 2019?
Miss Universe Canada 2019, yeah.
Wow. That's really cool. All right, tune in.
It is,
And I'll is that tomorrow?
Yes.
So I might be streaming at the same time, but I'll see if I can pop in for a moment.
I'm just kidding.
I'll probably be doing some Brawlhalla on a Monday night stream. But that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be doing more of the same stuff, editing,
Streaming, gaming.
Yeah,
grocery
I really
shopping.
want. Yeah, you know what? One thing I'm gonna have to do is for my movie now is I think but the priority has been getting it in order and getting it to a cut that I'm happy with.
Mhm.
But I think now I'm gotten to the point where I can start to add finishing touches. Like I need to add sound effects, so I need to make some zombie recordings. So I think there's gonna be a lot of me going like.
Your girlfriend's gonna be
This
like, "What's
week.
going on with you? Are you okay?"
Yeah, and I have to experiment because I don't just want it to sound like a person going like I want to manipulate the sound somehow to make it more scary. So I'm gonna have to do some. I'm
Zombie
debating if I should try
research.
should I maybe lower the voice? Will that sound good? Like so if I go and then I lower it towards like gotta because what I'd like it to be. Yeah, I want it to be so scary that like just the sound of it is scary. So there's some experimentation I'm gonna need to do. That'll be interesting. I really want to get this movie done. I'm like,
Dude, it's May 1st. You said you're gonna have it done by the end of February.
yeah, it's like it's like this thorn in my side. It's like this one thing that's like, yeah, thorn, or you know what it is? It's like the pebble in your shoe. It's like I walk around and like everything is good, but there's this pebble.
And
that
then
if
you
I
take
don't
your
get
shoe
rid of-
off and you forget that it's there and put it back on.
Yeah. And it's like, so it's just putting a little damper on everything else that I'm doing. It's like every single time I'm doing anything else, there's just this pebble. And I got to get rid of the pebble, and then I'll feel like I can focus more on other things. You
Or
know?
an itch in your foot and you can't take your
Itch in my
shoes
foot.
off.
Exactly. So we'll see.
How
I guess we should
about,
wrap up. Yeah.
okay, before we wrap up, May 31st, it gives you 30 days to finish your movie.
It's pretty good.
If you're
May 31st.
watching, put like this video if you think Scott should finish the movie by March 31st.
May 31st.
May 31st.
By March 31st. I should have finished it by March 31st.
You're like, oh, March 31st next year? Sure, I'll be done by that.
May 31st sounds pretty reasonable. I mean, January felt reasonable. But I kind of feel like now the thing that I've always been struggling with is like I watch the movie and I'm like, can I get it there? But now, like, I've actually been really happy with the last cut. I think May 31st is pretty realistic.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're keeping Scott accountable.
And the thing is, like, part of the reason I haven't been that concerned in terms of like, oh, it must be done now is because there aren't any festivals to send it to. And like I've been saying, like, yeah, there are online festivals, but they don't feel real to me. But now we're getting pretty close to the point where like real festivals are going to start to pop up. Mm-hmm. And like if I imagine like festivals that are happening, say in September, October, November, those deadlines are probably going to be in the next couple months because they book in advance, right? So I really should actually start thinking like, hey, you got to finish now if you want to not wait another year for these festivals. So May 31st, Regine, I like that idea.
Awesome. So you have 30 days to complete it. We will touch base in 30 days to be like, so how's that movie going?
Yeah, I think I can do it. Oh man.
The pressure's on.
Yeah, but I actually I feel good about it. Okay, we'll do it. Here,
you
Regine.
All hear it
where
here.
Sorry. Yeah, you heard it here first.
You're
Regine, where can people find you?
You guys can find me, like I mentioned, on my YouTube channel, Mondays and Wednesdays, live at 7:30 p.m. for the pageant sit down. You can follow myself on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at It's Regine Alaina, or follow my pageant journey at Ms. MS Galaxy Canada on Facebook and Instagram. Where can they find you, Scott?
You can find me right here, where you're watching this very video, youtube.com/ScottDionBrown. I'm also on Twitch, twitch.tv/ScottDionBrown, and dlive.tv/ScottDionBrown. You can also find me here, Instagram and Twitter, Scott Dion Brown, or on TikTok, Scott Dion Brown Official. Not that active on TikTok at the moment, but things are probably going to start to ramp up. But YouTube's the best place. youtube.com/ScottDionBrown. You can watch this show every Sunday. Oh yeah, that's right. Merch, guys. Merch is out. teespring.com/stores/Scott Dion Brown. Link is in the description down below. The merch is fun, actually. I just got another sample in from another one of the lines, so I'll probably be wearing it on tomorrow's stream. So yeah, the merch is fun. Sold a little bit of it, which is pretty cool. Thank to you guys who have been who've made some purchases. Exciting stuff. Can't wait to see when you guys get it. And yeah, teespring.com/stores/Scott Dion Brown. Link is in the description. Get that merch, people. And thank you guys for tuning in. You could have gone anywhere. Thanks for tuning in on a slightly later airing time. We appreciate you being here. And we'll see you all next week. Regine.
Scott.
I'll see you. I'll see you later.
Sounds good. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.